Speaking of how massive it is, according to the maker of the iPhone, Hon Hai, who you're aware of, Taiwanese, Foxconn, better known as, they say China's days as the world's factory are over. That's coming from Foxconn. And you probably have been following the thing. They've been diversifying the number of places in which they manufacture goods on behalf of Apple and others. They do business with companies more than Apple. They're massive. Foxconn is massive. I mean, they're Brazil and they're all over the place. Southeast Asia. They're all over the place. India.
Yep.
They're all over the place. And this is big because this is one of those situations where you've got a source very close to the matter. You've got a source responsible for a tremendous amount of manufacturing. A reliable source. Now, maybe there's some sort of political incentive to say something like this to try to get China to loosen up. It might be beneficial to them. But they continue to decrease their Chinese footprint as they increase their footprint elsewhere. A key supplier to Apple Inc. and a dozen other tech giants plans to split its supply chain between the Chinese market and the U.S., declaring that China's time as factory to the world is finished because of this trade war. Hon Hai Precision Industry Co. Chairman Young Liu said it's gradually adding more capacity outside of China, which is the main base for its production. They do iPhones, Dell desktops, Nintendo Switches. The proportion outside the country is now at 30%, up from 25% last June, and it's going to continue to increase. It's not feasible. It's not productive.
Yeah.
These tariffs are hurting. And it's coming off the bottom line. And you're sitting there looking at the device saying, well, I can make this somewhere else, can't I? And I think there was a period of time where there was some lag time in developing those other facilities and developing that assembly know-how in other markets. And we're at a point now where the proof of concept is out there. We talk on this show a lot about India specifically. Same thing. Impose the tariffs. Incentivize the local assembly, and boom, simple, done. Now we got a bunch of jobs and we're doing it here. I mean,
the iPhones don't cost twice as much because of tariffs.
These are different levers you can pull, buttons you can press, and knobs you can turn. When you're in power, Will, you can make these adjustments. You can do stuff like this, and it is having an impact, and it will have an impact. The ratio will rise as the company, also known as Foxconn, moves more manufacturing to Southeast Asia and other regions to avoid escalating tariffs on Chinese-made goods headed to the U.S. This means, I think there's a few countries listed here. I mean, it includes India. It includes the Americas. Even the United States of America. Who knows what kind of incentives they can cut? Maybe they end up in Texas right next to Tesla. It's not impossible, is it?
No.
I don't think it is. I mean, it seems like it might be expensive to do business there.
Yeah.
But if the tariffs are offsetting the cost of doing business and possibly cheaper labor, then you end up flush anyway. And you don't have to move the product around or be as what should I say? Fragile. Like there's a certain weakness in being at the whim. If your customer base is over there and there's a guy in power who can, as I mentioned, flip a switch, and all of a sudden, I mean, they got this tariff stuff on billions, hundreds of billions. They got this. They can just wipe it out. All of a sudden, increasing the cost of those goods substantially in a moment's notice. So you want to be diversified. You want to have these factories around the world. It gives you more flexibility on where you can send the thing and how you can be competitive. Days as the world's factory are done, coming from Foxconn. Foxconn, who built its business on the back of China as a factory, didn't they? It's big news, and it's bigger news because of who it's coming from. I need to put this in perspective for you here. The Taiwanese company reported better than expected net income of $778 million for the quarter ending in June, boosted by demand for iPads and MacBooks. Remember, iPads and MacBooks doing well because of the lockdown, even though the phones maybe not as much. They talk about having lost in certain relationships with key customers like Xiaomi, who suffered backlash in the Indian market, losing $100 million in the first half. Hon Hai's other customers have fared less well. Hong Kong listed subsidiary FIH Mobile said in its August 7th earning calls that while Huawei Technologies' new phones have been popular in China, they missed expectations elsewhere. So Huawei, Xiaomi, the companies where it would make total sense for Hon Hai or Foxconn to be doing business in China and also manufacturing in China, Chinese brands, even those ones suffering elsewhere, like the export market shriveling up. So Foxconn, to a certain extent, is saying, we don't have to be part of that. Taiwanese company, right? We can be anywhere. We could be over here. We could be over there. Where, like I said, Brazil over here, but they don't have to be tied down in the same fashion.
Right.
They have a certain amount of autonomy in who they do business with and who they answer to. Taiwan is its own. This gets a little squirrely. The history, you want to look at the history, Taiwan, China, I'm always interested in it. You know, I'll hit the wikis. I'll get on it. I've been to these places, so I get curious. And I want to learn about the history a little bit. And I'm sure there's people watching this who are aware of it. But, Taiwan's an island. Relatively, it has some independence to it.
Yeah.
China may disagree. There's a political thing going on. It's sort of a Hong Kong type of vibe to it. But at this moment, it is somewhat independent and has some degree of autonomy. And whether it's TSMC or if it's Foxconn, there are benefits to that. But those same benefits could very quickly come under the microscope of that monster sitting right. I mean, I'm not saying, I'm saying scale-wise. China's sitting right there staring at your little island. Sitting right there saying, oh, you're going to take all this business? Oh, you like the United States? I mean, I'm just talking. I'm just a guy talking.
Yeah.
But it's these little alliances and allegiances and trade deals and diversifications, and it's all so interesting, isn't it, Will?
Yeah. They all matter.
It all matters. It all matters. But you got to know, in the head office over there, in the government, in China, they read a headline like this. They say, we'll see about that. They read a headline from their pal over at Foxconn, China's days as the world factory is over. And they say, oh, really? We'll see about that.
Yeah, they're not happy about it.
We'll see about that. But anyway, shout out Foxconn. I don't disagree. If you got a business that's doing well, you got high profile customers, you diversify. You do what you can do. You do your best. I understand.